Okay, what you see under the camera right now is an example of Tokyo Monster that my 7th and 8th graders are going to be doing. Two city streets, one to the left, one to the right, two vanishing points, one to the left, one to the right. Here my fingers are pointing at the vanishing points. Buildings on the left, buildings on the right, some features on some of the buildings, and a monster. Now this is going to be fully shaded when you're done, but that's going a little farther along. There'll be 2 additional videos to help you with the completion of the coloring, shading, as well as with the monster, okay? Here's another earlier version showing an attempt at some lettering on the sides of the building. A monster looks like a giant M&M with a victim on his feet. He stepped on somebody. And here's yet another one with the monster fully shaded. Looks like a hot dog squirting out ketchup, and here's a meteorite or a meteor coming over here on the right. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to begin with a plain sheet of paper, and it's arranged here horizontally, and there's a fold down the middle. You can see it right there. And I put a dot on the left and a dot on the right, and each dot represents one of my 2 vanishing points, okay? The fold represents the horizon line where the sky meets the earth at a distance, at a faraway distance, okay? And I'm going to start here with a vertical line 1. I'm not going to number it, but you remember vertical, where the lines, the sides of the ruler, run parallel to the sides of the paper, and the ruler intersects the top and the bottom and the middle fold at a 90-degree angle, okay? The ruler is perpendicular to the top and bottom of the paper, perpendicular to the middle fold. So my first line, number 1, is the near edge of a building. Now, as you can see here, the lines going left to right are very flat, but I don't want that. Later on, I want my lines to recede or appear to go back to the vanishing points, much like this. Let me fold this up and see how this presents itself underneath the camera. Do you see how the lines appear to angle back to the right and back to the left? And that gives the impression of this being a building. The lines help to give that effect, but notice how the value, dark and light, give that effect. And here's another smaller building, perhaps in the distance, okay? Again, you see one side right, one side light, one side dark, depending on how the sun is hitting it. Look at how the pink and the yellow blend to make an orange right there. Here's another pink building right here. Let's see if we can put it behind this yellow building. Okay, you see the effect we're going for here. We're going for the light and dark to one side of the light to one side, dark to the other side of the buildings, and also these receding lines going back. So let's get started. I'm going to go down here to the very bottom of line 1, and I'm going to find the vanishing point on my right, and I'm going to go right back to it. So this is be line 3, actually, okay? This going back to the left would be line 5. You don't need to number these. This is kind of the same order we used when we did our Starburst candies. Now here at the top of the building, this is line 1 top, again going to the right, but I'm going to make this line shorter. This is the top of the building going down to the right, vanishing point. Here's the top of the building going to the left vanishing point. You notice how I connect right on that point? That point is small. You make sure that ruler touches that point, okay? If you're not hitting the point, you ain't doing this right. So that's lines 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's do line 6, which is vertical, coming off the back end of line 2. It hits the sidewalk here and it stops, and this would be line 7. There is no need for a line 8 or 9 here to define top or bottom of this building, because we just can't see those surfaces, okay, based upon where the building is in relationship to our eye. If I were to say, go up the middle of line 1 and put these little tick marks wherever I want to, really, remembering line 1 is shared with 2 sides of the building, and each tick mark connects both right and left. See how I'm going right? See how I put my pencil down on the right vanishing point, and I allow my ruler to pivot and catch the second vanishing point? If my pencil's here, I don't have to look over here on the right side anymore. I just have to look to my second vanishing point, catch it. I'm pushing down hard on the ruler every time I rule a line, only because I don't want that ruler to slip. And you can see how quickly these kind of glass windows are going in of a modern office building. Each line that I'm drawing defines one story, one level of the building faced with glass. So this is on the right side. Let me finish this one here at the bottom. And now we're going to use the same set of tick marks along that line 1 going left. So again, positioning your pencil where you need to have it on one point, swiveling around, catching the other. You're only going the length of the building to the left. You're not going any farther than that. The angle of the lines changes as you come down closer to the vanishing point. The lines begin to level out and become more horizontal the closer you come to the vanishing point. Now the lines are beginning to angle upwards, I guess you could say. You see how I'm drawing upwards towards the vanishing point on my left? And now I am done. Now this building is done. I don't have to do any more with that, okay? Let's go ahead and put a building over here on the right side. I'm gonna skip a little space. You know, I might just go about as wide as the ruler is. It doesn't really matter. Line 1 comes off of the sidewalk. This is gonna be the sidewalk down here. It's as tall or as short as you wanna make it. I went ahead and made it very tall. That's line 1. Line 3 is here, already drawn. Let's do line 2. There's line 2. Notice how I go right to that vanishing point, right to the point. So that's line 1, 2, 3. Here comes line 4 over here going left. Again, you decide on how deep the building goes back into space. I made it deeper on this side than I did on that side. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 has to come off the bottom of line 1 and go left. Don't forget 5. Do you see it right there? Going back to the left. The space between buildings could be a park, it could be an alleyway, it could be a parking lot, it could be an empty lot, whatever you want it to be, but that line 5 is necessary to show me the difference between the flat surface of the empty lot here and the wall of this building right here. I need line 6, which is a vertical dropping straight down to the sidewalk, and I need line 7, a vertical line dropping straight down, but I can't see it because it disappears behind another building. You don't draw what you don't see. My next building over here is going to have a line number 1 shared with line number 6. So in other words, 6 and 1 are the same. So I'm going to use a portion of this line 6 of this building and call it line 1 of my next building. So from the top of this line 1, I'm going to go right. Wow, I went deep. Look how close to that vanishing point I went. So there's line 1 of my new building, line 2, line 3, line 4, line 5 going left. Well, I don't see those, do I? Because why? They're behind this building. So all I need now, line 6 coming straight down vertically. I would not see line 7. That's it. That's all I see of that very long building going back towards the vanishing point over here on the right side. This is going to become sidewalk down here in just a little bit, okay? Let's go over here and make 2 more buildings to finish this up. I'm going to put a door on one of the buildings and have to add the sidewalk, and then I'm going to stop and give you a chance to catch up. Let's again leave a little space between line 1 right here and this earlier building. So this is line 1. Line 2 comes from the top of line 1 and goes right. Line 2 always goes right. So here I am. Do you see how I'm going right over here? Going right, stopping right there because I'm going behind that first building. This is line 2. This is line 3. So again, line 3 always goes right to the right vanishing point. Here I am going right. This small space between 2 buildings could be an alleyway. I might darken that later on to show how dark and close together those buildings are. 1, 2, 3, 4 goes left. You got it. Now notice how I go to my vanishing point. 4 goes left over here. There's 5 already on the paper. It's part of the sidewalk. Line 6 I don't see. It connects lines 2 and 3 behind this building. And finally a vertical line 7 right there. Vertical means it drops straight down to the sidewalk and stops. That's my 4th building. And now I'm going to put in a final building, okay? Again, I might go ahead and use this line number 7 and take it on up and make it become line 1 of my next building. The buildings are really close together right there on the sidewalk. Their fronts of the building are level, are even, so that line can just continue up. This is the top of line 1. This is the vanishing point on my right. Connect to the top of line 1. Draw the depth going back of line 2 as far as you want. Doesn't have to be that far. Here's line 3. Well, wait a minute. We don't see line 3. It comes off the bottom of line 1. It goes right. It's there. We just don't see it. So you don't draw what you don't see. So line 1, 2, 3, we don't see line 3. Line 4 we see, and look, it goes right down to the vanishing point on my left. And I see line 5 is already on the paper. It's part of the sidewalk. I just need line 6. Now, I don't really like how this and this line up. It might be a little confusing visually, so I'm going to shorten this line. There's line 6. Okay, see how I didn't want those two lines coming together? It just looks better this way to identify this as separate from that. There's line 6, it's always a vertical, and line 7 dropping down to line 5 over here. Always a vertical. Remember, this is 4, this is 5, and 7 connects 4 and 5. My buildings are all done, except I'm going to add a doorway right here. A doorway is exactly like the front of this building. You decide on where the door is. You decide on how tall the door is. So I'm drawing this nearest edge of the door right there. And this is the bottom of the door that opens out onto the sidewalk. Makes sense. This is the top of the door, however high you want to make it. Because I'm on the left side of this building, I'm on the left side, I'm going left. So just like this line goes left, see it? So should this line go left. They obey the same vanishing point left. And now I'm going to decide on how to close that door up in the back here. There's the far end of that door. It looks like a big old door, not a small door. I'm actually going to make this into double doors, okay? You've walked into department stores where there are double doors. Oftentimes, there are even double doors here at school. To find the exact middle of this shape, watch what I'm going to do. I'm not going to measure. I'm simply going to go corner to corner lightly, find my two corner to corner diagonals that intersect right there. That point where those two lines intersect, those two diagonals, that's exact middle. Now, why doesn't it look middle? Because this door is shorter than that one, or this door is skinnier than that one, because this door is farther away, okay? So where you find your middle is middle in terms of 2-point perspective. This door here on the left should be smaller than this one on the right, because this one is farther back in space, okay? Now, sidewalk. Let's go back to our original line 1 right here. Let's come down near the bottom of the page and give yourself a little tiny vertical here to represent the curb. You know how you walk on the sidewalk and you step down off the curb into the street? See, that little line has a top and that little line has a bottom. Let's go to the right, all the way back. Oops, I slipped. That would be me being messy. Let me redraw that line. You see how I slipped right there, so I'm going to go back and correct that mistake. Okay, and from the bottom of this little line right here, going all the way back, pushing hard on that ruler so I don't slip. Again, back to the top of this little line, going left, and the bottom of this line going left. Now, there's a way to make divisions in the sidewalk, the way the concrete is poured. It's easy to do, but I'm not going to show you here. Right now, this is all I need for you to do, and now you try.